Alright guys, today's a big day. These videos are finally paying off, and I have a customer coming soon. Typically, I would go to Airgas for my supplies, but today I'm gonna go to Welder Supply just to see what that's all about. I think it's good to establish a connection with a couple different welding suppliers. That way, in case one's closed for the day and the other one's open, or you never know. You just never know when that might be useful. Well, we got what we needed. Fresh patch of 7018. So, the reason why I had to pick these up is because today I'm going to be working on an excavator ripper. And those things should probably be welded with 7018 or a dual shield flux cord wire. He's coming soon, so I'm going to clean up the shop a little bit more and get ready for him to get here. You see guys, I'm like in desperate need of a better system for all of my drop materials. They just end up on the floor wherever. Like, I tried the 5-gallon buckets, but if I want to dig around in there, it's too difficult to get to the bottom and see what's there. Something has to be done about that. I mean, my concern is like how thick and heavy this is compared to that.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, put some on the outside or something.
Yeah, something on. Well, all right, I'll be in touch.
That works. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So guys, here's what the customer brought over. He's got this excavator ripper, and what he wants me to do is he wants me to cut off these ears here, like that, and he wants me to weld this right to there. I'm having a couple hesitations though. The biggest one being, see how thick that is? That's like 1.5 inches thick right there. Well, the thing he wants me to weld on is only like 1/2 inch thick. Something about that just doesn't seem right to me, so I'm gonna give Grandpa a call. Hey Papa, what's up?
I'm looking at your picture here.
That new adapter hookup he wants to put on looks a little small.
That's evidently all they gave him, and if that's not heavy enough, you'll have to add something to it.
Yeah. You think I should just put it on there though?
You can put it on there and everything, make it work, and then if it isn't heavy enough, you can, you might have to add something.
Yeah.
Later.
Yeah, I could always add something later too. All right, well, good deal. Sounds like I got a plan. Talk to you later, Papa.
Yep. Bye, buddy.
Bye. Well, that was some good information. Let's get cooking. Well, after consulting with the expert, I think the plan is full steam ahead. First thing I'm going to do is put a bigger tip on this cutting torch because we're going to need it if we're going to want to cut through that. So this is the bigger one we're putting on there, and that's the smaller one. If you look at the two, you can see that hole in the center is way bigger on that one. So we'll take this off, we'll put this one on, and we'll get rolling. Now in a perfect world, I'd be able to put this on my bench, but I don't have a crane set up yet, so I just got to do it on his trailer. But I'm being as careful as I can. I put some pieces of sheet metal down so all the dross that comes off will just land on that and not the trailer. You know, I've kind of realized that if I'm cutting right on the weld, it doesn't want to cut all the way through. So I'm going to have to cut a little bit off of that. Ooh, it's close. Something like this might work. So I think now we're going to try to lift this off of the trailer because I want to be able to make all these welds in the flat position, just to make my life a little bit easier. But since I don't have a gantry crane, what I got to do is use an engine hoist. I hope it's going to work for this. So hopefully with that weight that we took off of the front, this won't be so difficult to move around. I'm going to try and just shimmy it over here. Well, that whole fiasco with the engine puller really didn't do us any good. This was the best I could get. At least it's off his trailer, and now everything that falls is just on the floor. I'm going to clean this up a little bit more with the torch and take off some of the spots that I couldn't get to. This probably takes the cake for ugliest torch cut, but it'll still work. So I've started grinding this side down a little bit here. You can see I got pretty carried away with the torch, and we're gonna have to fill some of the gouges I made. The other side I made sure to not gouge as much. It's just gonna be more grinding for me. I was trying to save time here and just torch as much as I could off, but I just needed to be more careful about where I was pointing the torch, especially up here. Down here's not so bad. Down here there really isn't much to fill. So I'm just gonna keep grinding away. Alright guys, I'm mostly just going to be focusing on those deeper gouges. The ones that aren't so deep, I can leave those in there. This isn't a Swiss pocket watch. I've got my amperage set at 128. So that's pretty much the gist of it. I'm going to keep carrying on with that. Most of the damage is like here, a little bit here, some in here. The bottom looks pretty good. I might do a little bit of cleanup, but I'm not going to do much on the bottom. Now, in a perfect world, I wouldn't have needed to weld out all of the gouged areas had I done a better job at cutting this with the torch. But I just want to get that material back in there to build that up back to what it was. Now I'm just going to take the grinder over it and smooth that out, and then we can start actually putting this new hookup on. So here's where we stand right now. I've got all of those welds ground down. You know, there's a little bit of minor gouging still in there, but that's going to be just fine. These lines are to help line up our new piece right here. The next thing I'm going to do here is I got to bevel this just so that we get a little bit better of a weld in there. I'm not going to do a crazy bevel on it just because it's only 1/2 inch thick plate and it's going to get welded on both sides. It's going to be welded on the inside and on the outside. And I'll probably do a couple passes, I'm thinking. So I'm going to start beveling this out now, and then we can finally get to welding it. That's the kind of bevel we're going for. I'm just going to put the same thing on the bottom here. And I'm going to try and leave like about 1/4, 3/16 of an inch on the edge. But I think that's just going to help give a place to lay that weld. So now with the edges of these plates beveled, we can take this and line it up on the ripper. Alright, I gotta find some way to get this higher. Okay, so here's the big idea. I think if I put this hoist here and I hook something around this tube there, that's gonna pull it back kind of like so. Well, here's the deal. I was able to hang that up with the chains there. I've got it clamped so it holds it tight in here. We got about 1 3/16 inches here. We've got 1 3/16 inches here. And the same thing over on this side too. So this thing's all squared up now. Now I can start tacking this thing on, and then we'll be able to get it maneuverable once I have a few stitches laid in. I'm just gonna send a picture of this quick to the customer to make sure that it's on in the right orientation. I'm like 90% sure it is, but I wanna be 100% sure before I weld anything. So I'm gonna do that first, and then we can start welding this thing on. So I'm just gonna put a few tacks on this, and then I'm thinking maybe we can lift it up and get it in position to weld. But until then, I'm just gonna tack it like how it is now. So with this thing now stitched on, I'm gonna take this chain off, and then we can try and roll it so I'm not welding this vertically. I can weld everything, you know, flat. So to keep this from going too far one way over the other, you know, a little bit here and then a little bit here, and then I'll do some on the inside and then I'll flip it back over. Just to keep the heat from being all concentrated on one side, it can make this mounting piece end up skewing one way, and we really don't want to deal with that. There it is. That little hump right there is from a tack that I had. Hindsight, I could have ground it down some, but really doesn't matter. That's that one. Here's this one. This thing's welding good. It's turning out nice. I'm gonna get on the inside, finish that, and then we can flip this thing back over. I'm gonna grind these tacks off. I didn't think I was gonna, but I think I should because they're protruding a little too high up, and I want to knock them down just a little bit. Beautiful. That's what we got there. I paused a little bit too much right there, but that's fine. We're gonna be putting a couple more passes on this anyways. This one turned out really good. I mean, typically in the shop I'd like to do dual shield, but I don't feel super comfortable running dual shield flux core on this machine here. I'd probably need a bigger liner in that gun to do that. So that's why I'm rolling with stick in the shop. It leaves a mess, but a lot of that's from the torch cutting. So yeah, I'm just going to keep welding away and we'll knock this thing out. So here's what we got. This is the first pass completed all the way around, inside out, both sides. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do 3 passes here or if I'm just going to do 2. I think I'm just going to do 2. Well guys, here's what we got for the final pass. I ended up actually running 3 beads along here just to get enough tied into that thicker plate. I think running a third one was a good move. But overall I'm happy with how it looks. The inside's a little bit trickier to get into, but I think it turned out all right. One last thing that I'm going to do that I know a lot of guys don't is I'm going to hit it with some spray paint. It's just something I like to do as just like a little icing on the cake for them. Because, I mean, think about it. You spend all this money to have this fixed, and then, you know, it sits out in the rain one day, and all the welds start rusting. So it's just not what I like to do. I like to cover it up a little bit. All right, let's lift this thing up now. Now I could probably get the pallet underneath it now, and then maybe I'm just better off trying to slide the pallet. There's an idea. Well guys, that's all I got for you today. If you like the video, let me know down in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe to follow along to see what I'm going to be doing next on this channel. And if you didn't like the video, chances are I got one you're going to like. It's right there. I guarantee you it will be something you might enjoy. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.